I just want to show a before and after here before I get too carried away with cleaning this manifold up next. But I just threw this in the bead blast cabinet, and after about a half an hour it came up pretty darn clean. I'm going to heat these up and take these studs out and retap the holes and put new studs in. But it cleaned up super nice. Super happy with the way it. This is natural cast iron right now. And this is the other manifold. I got to put this new little tube that goes down around in there for the choke. Actually, that might be okay, but well, this tube needs to be replaced. It's broke off. I'll just take that all out and replace it all. But you can kind of see the before is not real pretty, is it? Now I got grease on my finger and I don't want to get it on my clean manifold. So just kind of, like I say, just getting things ready to go on the engine. So what I'm going to do here is button up the engine a little bit just so it doesn't get any dirt in it. I put the oil cap on. I got to paint it still. I'll do that when I do the brackets for the alternator and the power steering and whatnot. And I got a new grommet for the PCV valve and new PCV valve coming, and that'll go in to prevent, keep stuff out of the valve cover. I'm going to leave the tape where the distributor goes and where the carburetor goes. I'm not going to install either until after the engine's in the car so I don't damage them installing it. Probably put the bolt in the hole for the distributor because that is a through into the lifter valley. The water pump I'm going to leave off because it has a hose that goes between here that you can't put on when the water pump's on, and I want to put the original style tower clamps and the original style of hose. So probably once the engine's in the car I'll put the water pump on because then I'll have the hoses and I can put these, and then there's a hose that goes from here to doohickey that goes on here and then comes out there to the heater core. That is the part there, and it has the vacuum line that goes onto the PCV, and I'll clean all this up. Clean that hose is perfect, so I'll just clean it up. Clean that clamp up, clean this clamp up. That I believe is the original clamp they used on the valve. That's definitely the original. And I think these are even date coded, so I'll probably clean it up and see if there's a date code on there. And these need a little bead blasting, and then like I say, the new hose will be matched with tower clamps here and here onto the heater core. And I'm going to put the exhaust manifolds back on, and as you saw I cleaned that one up, and I'm going to start on this one maybe today. And I got a fuel pump. Did get a carter, so I'm going to install I'm going to install a fuel pump here in a few minutes, and I got a set of spark plugs. So if you watch my videos, you know I go to estate sales and I buy car parts when I see them in estate sales if it's something I feel eventually I'll use. And I have like a milk crate full of boxes and boxes of spark plugs, so often when I need a spark plug I just go look in it, and if I don't have it then I buy it. But most of the time I have them. And I believe this is what this car had originally, was Motorcraft BF42s. This is a BFR42, which means it's a resistor spark plug, which will be good for modern electronics, like my cell phone and the AM radio in the car. So do have, I'm going to put the new spark plugs in along with the exhaust manifolds on, and like I say, I want to button up the engine a little bit so dirt doesn't get in it. I'm going to wrap it up, but I just don't want to take a chance on anything getting into it. Alright, I think the first things I'm going to do is put those new spark plugs in, and I just threaded these in finger tight just to keep the paint out of the holes. And they look like they did the job. Kind of painted the plug up good, but they're all cruddy anyway. I cleaned them up in the blast cabinet just so I wouldn't be putting dirty nasty plugs back in the motor. Alright, here's the specifications in the shop manual. A 352 uses BF42s. The gap is 32 to 36 and they're torqued 15 to 20 foot-pounds. I'm going to set the gap on all of them right at 30 thousandths. Well, I had to adjust the gap. It was at 40, a little over 40 thousandths. Right on 30 there. So I'm going to set the rest of them and install them and get the manifold on. You can see I put an oil filter on. I just happen to have some Frams. I know a lot of people complain they're not a good filter, but I picked them up in estate sales for like 50 cents a piece. They work good for, that's going to be on the engine for probably 20 or 30 minutes, and then I'll be changing the oil, the first run oil. So eventually it's going to have a Motorcraft FL1A on there. That looks kind of nice, don't you think? This is the original fuel pump. It's a Carter, original of the car. Bolts go right in, no issues. This is a Carter replacement. Bolts do not go in the holes. They go through the holes, but they hit the pump body right here and don't go in the... Real good quality, huh? How do they expect you to bolt that to the engine? Yeah, that's why I like the old parts better. New stuff's just garbage. Absolute garbage. I mean, it's not the wrong size hole. And I'm not putting shorter bolts in because these are the bolts that this fuel pump was originally bolted on with. I want the original bolts in there. I don't want some Mickey Mouse cobbled up mess in it. But yeah, so what do? Send the pump back and get another one. Well, with a little finagling, and I put assembly lube on that, I got the bolts started in the housing. So I'll just put this on and bolt it up, and less place for dirt to get in the engine. Alright, let me go get a socket and tighten those up. Well, that'll make it a joy for changing. I mean, look at that. You can't even get a socket on that straight. Probably have to use a wobble socket. Yeah, really, really poor design. They made this part here too big, too high, too soon. On the other fuel pump, that doesn't come up like that. It's just even down here. This is longer, narrow like that. So that's just what it is. I think, I could send it back. They're going to send me another one. It's going to be exactly the same. And I'm not going to put the original pump back on the engine. It's probably no good. Alright, I'm going to clean up the right-hand exhaust manifold. And this manifold actually has little tubes for the choke heater. This one broke off. I think the other one just... This one just pushes into that little like flared fitting that's just kind of there. The manifold's just sitting in the vise. I didn't tighten the manifold on it. So that one's okay, but this tube here actually was right here and it broke out here and it broke off right at the manifold too. This is actually pushed into the manifold. It just sucks heat through around there to warm the choke, and there's a plate that was screwed on it. Plate and screw. So the plate was cracked. I could physically see the crack with it on the manifold, and I think it went this way out. Anyway, I could physically see that it was cracked, and I could also, because that was broken off, decided I needed to take this apart to fix it. So I'll make a new piece of steel for here. Just plate steel, and the asbestos is still perfect, so I'll reuse that. Well, my batteries just went dead, so I gotta start over with what I was yapping about. Kind of annoying. They'll show a perfect charge, all the bars will be up, and then after about 4 or 5 minutes of using them, they're dead. So I just kind of got fed up with them and bought a couple brand new ones, but they're still in the charger, so that'll be a little while. All right, I'm going to go back and re-video what I was talking about when the battery died. So this is the choke heater on the right-hand exhaust manifold. The air from the clean side of the air cleaner, I think it hooks up to something on the carburetor or somewhere where it draws clean air through here where it heats the air and comes out here and goes up to the choke coil spring. The tube on this side fits through that little flared fitting that's just pushed in there. This side the tube was pushed in, and it wasn't pushed in, it was just, the tube was pushed into the manifold. It didn't have a little flare thing like that, and it broke, so I'm going to make new or get new tubes for that, and I gotta get that piece of broken material out, and that way I can get this fixed before the manifold goes back on. Like I say, it's gonna, once that goes on, you're not getting at it, and I don't want to lose a screw, so I'm going to put it right there with the thing. And I'm going to bead blast this next, but I ran tap through the holes on both manifolds. I took the studs out of the other manifold and then tapped the holes out. So this manifold's going to get all bead blasted too. To get that screw out, I heated that bump in there. Well, I don't know if it's going to show up. Let me see if I can get better light on it. So there's a little bump in the manifold. I don't know if that shows up, if the light's blinding it out. But anyway, it's right in there, and that's where that screw goes in. So I just heated that bump with the torch until it was glowing red. Then I just took a crescent wrench and a big screwdriver and turned that puppy right out. I did not want to break a bolt off in there. So this manifold, like I say, I'm going to have to make that steel plate, and I'll bead blast it and then fix that and make the steel plate, and then this manifold will be ready to go back on the engine. And yeah, I got the studs out of this one and retap the holes. The holes don't go all the way through, but I just wanted to make sure there was no issues when I go to put new studs in when I put the engine back in. Who wants to be under a car trying to chase threads when I can do it right here on my bench right now? So I got the little broken piece out. I just drilled it a little larger until it spun freely in there, and then just pulled it out. So that is ready for the bead blast cabinet. Shop supplies are one of the things that you go through when you work on these cars. And the last time I was using my bead blast cabinet, it was spit and it wasn't continuously spraying, so I assume it was because it needs another bucket. These are 50-pound containers. It's 80 mesh glass abrasive. I get this at Tractor Supply. So just if you're interested in what I use in my blast cabinet, this is what the material looks like in the raw. It's just little glass beads, and the reason why I use glass beads is because they won't destroy your engine if you do not get every single grain cleaned out of whatever you're working on. I try and get every little grain, but this stuff smashes as you blast stuff, so it turns to like flour. I mean, the dust collector, the vacuum clean, sucks most of that out. I got a drywall bag in that vacuum, and it'll weigh 10 or 20 pounds and just be like a fine floury dust in it. And so that's what eventually happens to this is it just breaks up and gets sucked up in the vacuum. So that's why you got to refill it or add to it every once in a while. I rarely completely empty it because if the stuff in the cabinet usually still works pretty good, so I just add to it. So that's kind of what it looks like, and that definitely brought the sand level up in there. You can still see where it's V'd down over there, but this will work over a bit. I keep this in here so I can, kind of clean up. You can brush the sand, and then I have this tray here. So every time I open the door, a little drops out, and then I can sweep it down, get it in a can, and put it back in the cabinet. And I just leave that in the cabinet 100% of the time. Another thing I do that makes the glass cabinet more usable is I get some like metal or aluminum screening. This is a metal of some type. And I literally put it underneath this rack. You can even see it there maybe. And it doesn't get holes blasted in it for a long time. I've replaced that screen once in the probably 25 years I've had this cabinet. And that way if I drop a bolt or a fastener that falls through this mesh, I can find it, and just stick a magnet or a parts grabber because it'll just be under the edge of that. It won't go down into your media and get lost forever. Another thing I do when I'm bead blasting is I turn the lights off in the garage. It allows the light in here is kind of, it could be better. But you can see in the cabinet really super well if you turn the lighting off in the garage. So that's what I usually do. And I run the pressure in my cabinet at 60 psi. I made this air filter dryer regulator. So I got a filter on the high pressure regulator, filter on the low pressure. These are water separating filters. You don't want moisture in your blast cabinet. That's a big enemy. Makes clumps and just makes things miserable. You got to have clean, dry air going into your cabinet. I use this when I paint also. I just made it. It's just some square tubing and some rod, and I just welded up a little plate on each end to put the apparatus through. So I just made all that apparatus up. So it works out pretty good, and keeps my, moisture out of my cabinet. All right, this is the manifold I showed you in the beginning of the video. And it's pretty much all engine ready. For you guys that wondering what kind of paint I'm going to put on it, that's it right there. I'm just leaving it 100% natural cast iron. And I just shot it with WD-40 just to protect it. It's been on there for 53 years, and look at how nice it cleaned up. So the key to exhaust manifolds, the reason why you can never get paint to stick to them or weld them, cast iron's hard to weld anyway. You got to heat it up evenly, and brazing is the best way to repair cast iron. I have MIG welded them, but there's nothing wrong. This manifold's perfect. And I think what I do in the off season is I just, like I do on the Bel Air and all the other cars, I just spray the manifolds and bare cast stuff WD-40, and it doesn't rust from the condensation over the winter that'll get on it. Summertime you drive it, so it keeps them dry, and they stay looking pretty good. So that is going to remain bare cast iron just like it is. It's just it's no rust on it. That's not painted. That's just the bare cleaned up really nice. So that's just the way it's going to stay right there. And I'm going to do the other manifold the same. I'm going to attempt to show how quick and easy it cleans up. The parting surface cleans up really super easy. You can see where I just blasted a moment there, but I'll just do a little here. And there's probably enough dust in there, but that cleaned half that parting surface already. I've already got that all clean, and most of that clean just in the I mean, the air compressor hasn't even turned on yet, and it's not even totally pumped up. So I've been using it on other things, but yeah, all that stuff is just old gasket on there. The old, alright, you can kind of see now. I'm just holding it here. My memory card filled up, sorry. It's either dead batteries or memory cards today, it seems like. But anyway, you can kind of see what I'm doing. So I'm not going to video, it's just noise, and it'll probably take me half an hour, 45 minutes to clean that manifold up. So I'm going to get to it here. Just a quick bead blasting. A little bit of crud right there. I'll probably go back and hit that a little bit more. A little bit of crud there and there, so in there. So I'll just hit those spots again, and we'll call it good. WD-40 it up like the other manifold, and another day, maybe tomorrow, I'll make the. I got to find a piece of scrap steel, plate steel, and I'll make that. Oh, I got some more parts too. I got new bolts for the exhaust manifolds. All the bolts, all little locking doohickeys. They came with all these washers too, but those washers weren't on this, and this was all it was on the manifolds. So I'll put new bolts and locking tabs. I found a new old PCV valve. It does have PCV on the engine. And check this out, I've got a brand new Robert Shaw controls thermostat, identical to what was in there. So a little bit of parts here to use to install those nicely cleaned up exhaust manifolds. I ended up cleaning this up and putting the new PCV valve in it, and I was looking at the clamp and it says 266. It's the original. I don't know if that, let me see if I can get it to show up. So that would, and that's the original style clamp. I'm going to put those on the heater hoses and radiator hoses. If anyone knows if this piece was originally black or if it was natural aluminum, let me know. It looked like it might have been black, but it was just so caked in crud I couldn't really tell, because as I cleaned the crud off, you know, it didn't have much black left in a few spots, and then I bead blasted the rest of it. So let me know if this is supposed to be natural or if it is supposed to be painted black. That's it for this video. I'm going to call it a day. If you want to see this car resurrected, please subscribe to my channel. If you like the video, hit the like button. And again, thank you for watching.